I always believed that a marriage built on mutual respect and shared routines was unbreakable. For years, my wife, Isabella, and I enjoyed a life of quiet comfort, intimate dinners in our elegant home, weekend strolls through manicured gardens, and evenings filled with soft laughter at charity galas. I prided myself on our seemingly flawless life, a life that appeared as sparkling and refined as the elite circles we frequented. Yet beneath the glittering facade of high society, a dark undercurrent was beginning to flow. It started with small, almost unnoticeable details. Isabella's smile, once so genuine and warm, began to carry a secretive edge. At lavish parties and private events, her eyes would dart away when our gaze met. Her laughter, though polished, sometimes betrayed a hint of forced gaiety. I chalked these moments up to the natural stresses of a life lived under constant scrutiny and the pressures of maintaining appearances in a world where every detail is dissected by onlookers. One brisk autumn evening, as the city lights shimmered against the dusk, I noticed something peculiar. During a charity auction at a sumptuous ballroom, Isabella received a discreet text message. I observed her glancing down at her designer clutch, her hand trembling ever so slightly before she returned to her poised self. The incident seemed minor, a passing moment amid the night's elegant proceedings, but it stirred a quiet disquiet in me. Over the following weeks, the signs multiplied. I began to catch subtle references in her conversations, vague mentions of the new admirer, and cryptic references to meetings at exclusive clubs I'd never heard of. Curiosity gnawed at me. Late one evening, while our guests had retired from an opulent soiree, I found myself alone in our study, a space lined with antique books and photographs of our happier times. With a heavy heart, I retrieved her phone from our shared vanity. I hesitated only a moment before unlocking it. What I saw there shattered the calm I had always believed in. There were a series of messages from an unknown sender, marked only by the initial R. The tone of these texts was intimate and laced with coded language that hinted at secret rendezvous and lavish promises. One message, in particular, read, "The night awaits us at the Royal Club. Our destiny is written among the stars." My pulse raced. The Royal Club was known to be a private enclave for the super-rich and influential, a place where whispers of scandal and power deals were currency. The idea that Isabella might be entangled in something beyond our familiar world of refined elegance sent shockwaves through me. My mind raced with questions. Who was R? What dangerous allure did he hold? And most importantly, how deep did this secret romance run? Unable to shake the sinking feeling, I began a discreet investigation. Over the next few days, I studied her routine with a detective's meticulous care. I noticed that on evenings when I would normally expect us to dine together, she would excuse herself with vague reasons, late meetings, urgent calls, a sudden need to meet someone in private. I cross-referenced these absences with public records and social media posts from exclusive events. Slowly, a pattern emerged. Isabella was frequently seen in the company of a certain man whose background was shrouded in mystery. Rumors whispered among our social circle suggested that he had ties to a prominent aristocratic family, a family known for its clandestine power plays and centuries-old secrets. One evening, as the crisp autumn air set the city aglow with amber hues, I attended an exclusive gala hosted at an opulent mansion. Amid the clinking of crystal glasses and hushed conversations about investments and legacy, I watched Isabella closely. There, across the marble hall, I caught sight of a man in a tailored suit, his gaze fixed intently on her. His presence was magnetic, and his manner exuded a blend of aristocratic charm and dangerous confidence. The subtle nod they exchanged was laden with unspoken meaning, a signal that confirmed my worst suspicions. The evidence was mounting. In private moments at home, I discovered further hints, a hidden bookmark tucked into a fashion magazine featuring the Royal Club's exclusive events, a forgotten receipt for a chauffeur-driven car on nights when she claimed to be at home. Every clue pointed to a double life that Isabella had carefully concealed behind the veneer of sophistication. As the realization took hold, I felt a melancholy unlike any I had known before. The woman I had loved, the one who once vowed eternal fidelity in the glow of candlelight, now seemed a stranger lost amid a world of glitter and shadow. The shock was compounded by the knowledge that her betrayal was not a simple dalliance. It was a secret affair woven into the fabric of an elite conspiracy. My heart ached as I grappled with the duality of her nature. The graceful hostess my social peers adored, and the woman who now appeared entangled in an underworld of power, secrets, and high-stakes seduction. Torn between disbelief and a desperate need for truth, I began to compile every scrap of evidence. Late into the nights, while the world outside slumbered, I printed out messages, saved screenshots, and annotated every detail. I created a dossier that painted a damning picture. Isabella's clandestine meetings at the Royal Club, her cryptic texts hinting at secret deals, and her repeated encounters with a mysterious aristocrat whose identity was guarded by silence and prestige. The process of uncovering this scandal was agonizing. Each discovery felt like a knife twisting in the wound of our shared life. A life that I had built on trust, honor, and the shimmering promise of a bright future. And yet, even as my heart broke, a grim determination began to form. I knew that I could no longer live in ignorance. The truth, however painful, demanded to be confronted. My mind churned with the realization that the glittering world of high society, with all its glamour and allure, hid a darker reality. A reality where loyalty could be traded like a commodity and love was often the casualty of ambition and secret alliances. As dawn approached, and the first light crept through our grand windows, I sat alone with my thoughts and the mounting evidence. I resolved that when the time came, I would confront Isabella, not in a fit of rage, but with the cold, measured determination of a man who had seen the truth and refused to let it go unchallenged. The coming confrontation would shatter our fragile illusions and force us both to reckon with a betrayal that reached far beyond the boundaries of our private life. It would force me to question everything I thought I knew about love, fidelity, and the nature of trust in a world where nothing was ever as it seemed. In that quiet, reflective hour before the new day fully broke, I realized that our lives were now irrevocably divided. The glittering facade had crumbled to reveal a secret underbelly of power plays and forbidden liaisons, an underbelly in which my wife had chosen to live. With a heavy heart and a steely resolve, I closed my eyes, knowing that the path ahead would be steeped in pain, confrontation, and the shattering revelation of the high society scandal that would forever redefine our lives. In the days that followed that fateful night, my life transformed into a relentless pursuit of the truth. Every moment was imbued with a mix of dread and grim determination. I could no longer ignore the mounting evidence that Isabella's secret world of high society intrigue and clandestine meetings was not a fleeting infatuation, but a carefully orchestrated affair. I began by retracing her steps through our social calendar. Every gala, every charity event, suddenly took on a new meaning as I cross-referenced guest lists and social media posts. It became evident that Isabella had not only been seen with the mysterious aristocrat, but had also been frequenting exclusive gatherings that I had never been invited to. I reached out discreetly to trusted acquaintances, gathering snippets of information that confirmed my worst suspicions. Whispers and hushed tones mentioned secret rendezvous at members-only clubs and private estates, places where the powerful mingled and where allegiances were forged away from prying eyes. Late one night, armed with my dossier and a burning need for answers, I decided to follow a lead. I arrived unannounced at an upscale lounge rumored to be a haunt for the elite. There, in the dim glow of opulent chandeliers, I observed Isabella from a distance. She was laughing softly with a group of elegantly dressed individuals, but my eyes were fixed on her every movement. It wasn't long before I noticed her exchange a subtle, knowing glance with a tall, distinguished man whose aura exuded both danger and refined authority. The sight confirmed what my heart had already known. Isabella was entangled in a scandal that reached far beyond our simple life. I returned home with a sense of cold inevitability. In the privacy of our study, I began to compile a timeline of her secret outings. I pored over receipts, credit card statements, and even intercepted fragments of encrypted messages that hinted at meetings scheduled at odd hours. Every piece of the puzzle painted a clearer picture, a romance that was not only passionate, but also meticulously hidden behind the trappings of aristocratic allure. The messages referred to exclusive venues, coded language about royal legacy and the crown's favor, and even financial arrangements that suggested more than a mere illicit tryst. They hinted at a strategic alliance with consequences that could ripple through high society. My nights grew longer as I dedicated myself to uncovering the layers of deception. I spent hours in front of my computer, cross-checking dates and locations, building a case file that linked Isabella's every disappearance to events where this mysterious man, known only as R, made his presence felt. I discovered that R was no ordinary lover. He was connected to an influential family with rumored royal ties, a family that wielded power and secret influence behind closed doors. The magnitude of the betrayal began to sink in. Isabella's clandestine meetings were not simply a personal escape. They were part of an elaborate game of power and seduction, where romance intertwined with political ambition and hidden agendas. The emotional toll was overwhelming. I oscillated between disbelief, heartbreak, and a burning need for justice. Every memory of our once pure love was now tainted by the knowledge that Isabella had chosen a life of opulence and danger over the life we had built together. I wondered how I had been so blind to the subtle hints. The way her eyes would linger on invitations to exclusive events, the furtive smiles when she received mysterious phone calls, and the whispered conversations that ended abruptly when I entered the room. Yet, amid the storm of emotions, I knew that understanding the full scope of her betrayal was the only way to prepare for the inevitable confrontation. I reached out to an old friend, a discreet investigator known for his impeccable ability to trace hidden connections in high society. Together, we pieced together additional clues, photographs from private parties where Isabella appeared unusually radiant, and videos capturing clandestine meetings in the lush gardens of a secluded manor. Every piece of evidence reaffirmed the reality of her double life, and with it, the realization that I was standing at the crossroads of an unimaginable scandal. As I sat in my study surrounded by documents and digital trails, a bitter thought took root. The world of glitz and glamour was a double-edged sword. While it promised wealth, influence, and the thrill of forbidden romance, it also concealed dark secrets and betrayals that could tear apart families. I felt the sting of this truth with every piece of evidence I uncovered, and the agony of betrayal mingled with a determination to reclaim my dignity, even if it meant dismantling the carefully constructed illusion of our life together. In that long, sleepless night, filled with cold coffee and tear-stained pages of evidence, I resolved that the time for quiet suffering had ended. I would confront Isabella not as a broken man, but as someone armed with undeniable proof and a resolve forged in the crucible of betrayal. I knew that the confrontation would be painful and that the glittering world of high society would soon reveal its true, sordid nature. But for now, I allowed myself a brief moment of clarity. The truth was my only ally in a battle against deception, and by exposing the scandal, I might finally reclaim the trust that had been so ruthlessly shattered. The day of confrontation arrived with a weight that seemed to press down on every fiber of my being. I awoke to an overcast sky, the gray light mirroring the storm raging within me. For weeks, I had steeled myself with the evidence I had amassed, screenshots of cryptic texts, printed emails filled with aristocratic code, and testimonies from those who had seen Isabella with R at exclusive gatherings. Today, that dam of hidden truths would finally break. At our opulent home, a place once filled with laughter and tender moments, I found Isabella preparing for a charity luncheon. Her appearance was immaculate, every detail carefully curated to maintain the image of the graceful hostess known to our elite circle. Yet, as I watched her, I saw a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes, a momentary lapse in the practiced smile that concealed so much. I knew that the time had come. After the luncheon, when the house was quiet and the echoes of polite conversation had faded, I called Isabella to the study. The room, lined with portraits of generations past and filled with the soft hum of classical music, was about to become the stage for a confrontation that would shatter our carefully maintained world. Isabella, I began, my voice calm yet edged with steely determination. We need to talk. I placed the dossier, a heavy folder containing every shred of evidence, on the table between us. The folder's contents were undeniable. Messages referencing secret meetings at the Royal Club, intimate exchanges laden with symbols of power and heritage, and photographs capturing moments of passion in hidden corners of exclusive estates. For a long, agonizing moment, Isabella's eyes flickered over the evidence. I could see her composure beginning to crumble. I never wanted you to find out this way, she whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of regret and fear. The admission, though soft, cut deeper than any accusation I had yet voiced. Explain it to me, I demanded, my tone rising with the pain of betrayal. Who is this? You've been seeing? How deep does this scandal go? My voice echoed off the polished walls as I laid out every detail I had uncovered. Isabella's face became a mask of sorrow as she struggled to find words. She confessed that her encounters with had started innocently, an invitation to a private luncheon here, a chance meeting at a gala there, but soon spiraled into a clandestine romance fueled by the intoxicating allure of power, wealth, and a life far removed from our own. Tears welled in her eyes as she admitted that was a scion of an aristocratic family with royal connections, a man whose influence extended into circles I had never even imagined. Their meetings, she explained, were more than mere affairs. They were a dance of ambition and desire, where promises of secret legacies and whispered deals intertwined with moments of forbidden passion. As she spoke, I felt a mixture of heartbreak, anger, and disbelief. The very idea that the woman I loved had willingly plunged into a world of high-stakes intrigue was almost too much to bear. For what felt like an eternity, we sat in that study, a battleground of shattered trust and painful truths. I pressed her for every detail, the locations of their secret meetings, the financial arrangements that had begun to appear in our household accounts, and the true nature of the promises made between them. With each revelation, my heart broke a little more. I could see that Isabella was trapped between two worlds, the one we had built together and the seductive realm of aristocratic conspiracy that now held her captive. As the conversation reached its fevered pitch, the room filled with raw emotion. I demanded to know if any part of her still loved me, or if the life we had shared had been nothing more than an illusion crafted to hide a deeper, darker ambition. Her tearful response was a whisper of regret. She admitted that while remnants of love still lingered, the thrill of the secret, the promise of a life filled with power and opulence, had taken hold of her in ways she could no longer resist. The words hung in the air, a final, devastating admission that our marriage had been irreversibly fractured by the allure of a world I could never understand. When the confrontation finally drew to a close, the silence that followed was as heavy as the evidence on the table. I sat there, numb and shattered, knowing that nothing would ever be the same. The dossier of betrayal had not only exposed Isabella's secret life, it had laid bare the profound chasm between the life we once shared and the dangerous allure of high society that now beckoned her away from me. I left the study with a heart full of sorrow and a mind racing with the implications of her confessions, knowing that the journey ahead would be one of pain, introspection, and the daunting task of reclaiming my own identity. In the weeks following the explosive confrontation, our once glittering world lay in ruins. The opulent halls of our home, once filled with laughter and shared dreams, became echo chambers of silence and regret. I found myself wandering through our past as if searching for remnants of the love we once knew, a love now tainted by the scandal of Isabella's secret affair with and the high society conspiracy that had stolen her away. The evidence of her betrayal continued to haunt me at every turn. I revisited every detail in my dossier, each text, email, and photograph a painful reminder of the double life that had been hidden behind the veneer of aristocratic charm. The luxurious invitations, the clandestine meetings at exclusive clubs, and the cryptic references to royal favor all pointed to a world where power and passion collided in dangerous, irreversible ways. My heart ached with the realization that the life we had built together was irretrievably shattered by a secret that was as alluring as it was destructive. In the days after our confrontation, I sought refuge in solitude, grappling with the twin forces of grief and a desperate need for understanding. I reached out to trusted friends and even sought professional guidance, determined to piece together not only the truth behind Isabella's actions, but also to reclaim my own sense of self in the midst of chaos. I began to document my thoughts and emotions in a journal, a painstaking process of sorting through memories, regrets, and the hope that even shattered trust could someday be mended. Slowly, I realized that while the betrayal had cut me deeply, it also forced me to confront the harsh realities of a world where appearances were deceiving. I started to see that the glittering world of high society, with all its promise and peril, was built on fragile foundations. Behind the veneer of glamour lay secrets, ambitions, and betrayals that could destroy even the most steadfast bonds. This revelation, as painful as it was, sparked within me a desire to rebuild, not just a life without Isabella, but a life grounded in authenticity, resilience, and the lessons learned from shattered illusions. In a moment of quiet clarity, I decided that my future would not be defined solely by the agony of betrayal. I began taking small steps toward renewal, attending support groups, exploring hobbies I had long neglected, and reconnecting with the parts of myself that had been overshadowed by the comforts of our former life. Each day was a struggle, each night a reminder of what I had lost, yet slowly, I felt a spark of determination grow, a determination to forge a new identity from the ruins of our past. Isabella, for her part, withdrew into a world of regret and silence. Our once shared conversations became infrequent, and the grand halls of our home now echoed with memories of happier times that felt impossibly distant. I wondered if she too had come to understand that the pursuit of power and the allure of scandal had come at the cost of something truly irreplaceable, the genuine connection we once shared. But as I pressed forward on my own path to healing, I realized that the future was mine to shape, regardless of what had transpired between us. One crisp evening, as I walked through a quiet park with autumn leaves swirling around my feet, I felt a subtle shift within me. The pain of the past remained, but it was gradually giving way to a cautious optimism, a belief that even in the aftermath of a profound betrayal, there could be a path to redemption. I recalled the love we once had, not as a chain that held me down, but as a lesson that taught me the value of truth, loyalty, and self-respect. That night, as I closed my journal and looked out at the star-studded sky, I made a promise to myself that I would never again allow the glitter of false promises to obscure the light of authenticity. I resolved to build a future defined not by the scars of the past, but by the strength to move forward, step by painful step. The scandal, the betrayal, and the shattered illusions would remain a part of my history, but they would no longer dictate my destiny. In the end, while the high society conspiracy and Isabella's secret affair had altered the course of my life, they also set me on a path of self-discovery and renewal. The journey was far from over, and the wounds of betrayal would take time to heal, but I emerged from the ordeal with a deeper understanding of the price of deception and the resilience of the human spirit. I stepped into the uncertain future with a cautious heart, ready to reclaim my identity and to forge a life built on honesty, strength, and the promise that even in the darkest scandal, there is always the possibility of a new beginning.